Hello, I'm Dorothy, and I'm going to give you a little pitch of a concept project I've been working on called SDG Wizard, Sustainability Reporting. It all starts, of course, with in 2016, we were gifted by the United Nations 17 goals to transform our world today. These Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, give basically a roadmap of how the future should look in 2030. Typically, businesses have been looking at the SDGs, for example, salmon farming in Norway, saying, oh, SDG 2, no hunger, and SDG 14, life underwater, those are our SDGs. But intuitively, as a researcher and understanding of transdisciplinarity and synergies across these SDGs, it didn't quite seem right. Heads of state like Erna Solberg, the former Prime Minister of Norway, have been using a lot of effort and time to promote the SDGs through, for example, Erna Solberg's football campaign, where she has gone around with heads of state, also including Prince Charles and Arnold Schwarzenegger with his SDG ball, trying to show people we have to use the ball, use the SDGs. But seriously, this SDG ball is no tool for businesses. It's good for awareness, but we're beyond awareness at this point. We need to give Erna Solberg and other national leaders to the tools that they need for actual sustainability reporting, tools that are credible, tools that are legitimate, tools that are salient and relevant to people and their needs. I've been in the media trying to say we need a lot less warm air, hot air from the talk about sustainability and more collaboration with research across research to businesses so that local and regional authorities can actually report on what matters to them. At the University of Bergen, we have a motto, kunnskap som former samfunnet, knowledge that forms society. And we have the SDG Conference Bergen every year. I run Day Zero, which is the first kickoff day of the conference, where we have these dialogues from business to society to governance about what sustainability is and what it's not. Sustainability is not just picking your SDGs and saying, we do this. You have to prove what you're doing. So you need a tool. You need a tool. It needs to be digital. It needs to be dynamic. It needs to be intuitive. It needs to be transparent for both researchers to hang their research into the tool and for businesses to put their expertise and their expectations and their weekly, monthly, yearly reporting so that consumers and us, the rest of us people in society can actually see that. But we also need a tool to educate, to build capacity, and then this tool for reporting and benchmarking, for example, benchmarking certain sectors like Norwegian salmon farming. I'm just going to give you an example of how we have envisioned this in the SDG Wizard project. Basically, you have the sustainability rows and all 169 targets. By clicking on one of the targets, you get the actual text of that target. And then you are asked the question, how relevant is this target to your business? If target 14.2, sustainably managing and protecting marine and coastal ecosystems, is important to your business, then you're led to certain questions that are relevant for that target. You can also just click on another one of the 169 and get the text and then have the questions. Is this target relevant to your business or to your product? If it is very relevant, then you're led to questions that you have to answer or data that you need to present in order to report on that. This is part of what we call the SDG target relevance tracing, which I'd also am going to explain a little bit. We've done a mock-up of this online. If you go to SDG Wizard website, you can see and play around a little bit with this mock-up with Tito Every. We see that there's many other sectors that this is not just a fisheries and aquaculture thing. There's logistics, oil and gas, selling and buying of different products, culture, ICT, all these different tourist aspects, all the different sectors. The goals are for everyone. It's not just for one sector. So there is a big promise in doing a type of sustainability reporting that in a local community, all businesses are playing into. And then we have ideas of how you would actually register this in a dynamic way. Norway is a super data-rich country. We have weekly data on a lot of these parameters that go directly into reporting for the targets for the SDGs. So why not harness that? Why not repurpose this data for what it's really meant for us to get a real good idea of what sustainability is? And then you can put the report out, the public report or your private internal report. The business decides themselves what they want to make public or not, or what they want to use for their internal sustainability discussions. There's a lot of benefits here for finance and investment because we know corporate social responsibility needs a good transparent system. That trust with the public and the public reporting go hand in hand. The EU Green Deal and the EU taxonomy that's being rolling out now to make threshold values for ESG. For aquaculture, that's a big area. What should those threshold values be? Should that be something decided in Brussels and then given to Norway? Or should that be something that Norwegian business and research are helping to define? And maybe helping Chilean colleagues also. Some of it cut and paste, some of it will have to be done in Chile because of their specific ecological, political, and economic aspects. But what we really need is a deep dive into the synergies of not just the 17 goals themselves. The synergies come in the targets, and I'm going to show this to you. We have a sustainability rose. In this rose, we can show all the 17 goals in the inner circle and then all of the associated 169 targets. But we need a tool to kind of understand the relevance of the 169 targets to specific businesses. So we had a pre-project earlier this summer, 2021, with Salmon Group, which is an umbrella organization that represents 47 small and medium-sized salmon farmers in Norway. And we went through the relevance tracing to find out with Salmon Group which of these 169 targets are directly or indirectly related. What we found is that Salmon Group themselves identified 103 targets that were relevant to salmon farming in Norway across all 17 goals. So it's not just SDG 2 and SDG 14 that are relevant for salmon farming in Norway, it's all of the goals. And we find these synergies when we work at the target level. Here is the 3 bottlenecks for Norwegian salmon farming: the sustainability of feed, the lice, and the ecological sustainability, and escapements when they escape into the wild and hybrid with the wild salmon. What we see is the synergies come when you look at the targets. You see lots of different colors here representing the different goals. And then you get a lot of a much more rich dialogue about what data needs to be collected, where different aspects of sustainability are actually happening. So we've had student projects that are looking at this. We envision many more, hundreds of student projects that could be done across the sector. So this is just an aquaculture example where we even go into the UN target 6.3, improving water quality, the different UN indicators, 631, 632 that already exist, but then the questions that will need to be answered for a local case or a regional case for Norway. This is part of the development of SDG Wizard, and this could be done across all different sectors with the right expertise. So we did a SWOT analysis with Salmon Group this summer, and one of the big results of that was that we need to work together to develop the relevant local and regional national indicators. And we have to do this now. If we don't do this now, somebody else might do it. Finally, one of the really cool things about the SDGs is that it's not just about environment and climate, it's also about essential aspects of sustainability and sustainable development, like gender equality. Here in Norway, we have a lot of laws and really good conceptualizations of how to have gender equality, and we could and should report on this. This could be of inspiration to other countries, but also we have the data and we have the policies. Why don't we just connect that to the SDGs to have that common language, that common framework across all 195 UN countries? The time is now to develop a dynamic. We're not just talking about an infrastructure, we're potentially talking about a meta infrastructure where researchers have hooks to hang their relevant research on. Researchers have the dialogue space to discuss with businesses what sustainability means in these different local and regional contexts. And we see an immediate need to develop SDG Wizard, both for banks and for business.